Hey guys, welcome back to the sports stuff video. Today we're talking about the Buffalo Bills and my offseason plan to get this new look franchise into the next part of their window. So if you guys enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into the video. So the Buffalo Bills made a big change, hiring Joe Brady, bringing over Jim Leonard to be the defensive coordinator. Big moves from the Buffalo Bills. We'll see how it works out for them. I wasn't a big fan of Joe Brady as a head coaching prospect in this cycle. I was very open about that before the offseason started. That I didn't think Joe Brady was going to be a head coach anytime soon. But he gets the job in Buffalo. I thought they should have reset the entirety of the coaching staff if they're gonna, fire Sean McDermott. But they just promoted one of his coordinators. So it's basically the exact same team. But let's talk about the Buffalo Bills and their cap space. So going into the offseason with cuts and or trades, in 2026, they have negative $8.2 million. In 2027, they have positive 32.9, and in 2028, positive 141. So for a team that has a lot of big contracts, they're trying to win a Super Bowl every single year right now, negative 8 and then positive 32 is a pretty healthy number to be at. So I'm willing to, say they're in a pretty good spot. They're in a pretty good spot to get back on track and really make the most of this window that they should have made in this offseason. Oh, sorry, in the postseason. The first cut I'm going to be doing is Curtis Samuel at wide receiver, signed in the 2024 offseason. He had 7 receptions, 81 yards, and 1 touchdown last year. He rode the bench all of 2025, never really made an impact in any big monumental games. He's an okay slot receiver. Of the options in 2024, I was shocked that Curtis Samuel was the one that they signed a big money contract to. And then the exact same thing last year with Jordan Palmer. So they really have a really weird eye for wide receivers. Team is entering phase 2 of Josh Allen's career. He's making the big money, and now everyone around him cannot get paid those big contracts. They're going to use all their cap to lock up young core pieces. Now, whether that is Dalton Kincaid, they already extended Khalil Shakir, James Cook on defense. Gregory Rousseau got extended. Christian Benford got extended. I just don't see Curtis Samuel as a 30-year-old wide receiver making $8 million a year. It doesn't make sense in my opinion. So we're going to cut him, save that full $8 million, and because he has lost a step in his career. So we'll cut him and get someone cheaper and younger. Next is going to be Taron Johnson at corner. Taron Johnson last year had 45 tackles, 0 interceptions, 14 run stops, and 3 pass breakups. He's an okay nickel corner. Nothing crazy. Definitely when it comes to nickel, there are better and worse players. He's probably about middle of the pack. He hasn't been a game breaker at nickel. If I'm going to have someone at nickel making a big time contract, they better be one of the best guys in the league because, that slot corner can get filled pretty easily in this draft. There's a lot of real good slot corners, a lot of good safeties that play a lot of slot corner. So I'm not really worried about replacing him, because I just don't see, unless he takes a pay cut, I don't see him with it being this expensive to keep him, making over $11 million this year. I'm not keeping a slot corner for $11 million. It's not happening. We just paid Christian Benford, so the cornerback budget is a little tapped. So we're going to cut Taron Johnson and save $8.7 million against the cap space and keep it moving and replace him pretty easily in the draft. Next is Keon Coleman. We're going to trade Keon Coleman. Last year had 38 receptions, 404 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The owner and the GM have ruined this relationship. The minute that Sean McDermott was fired, they came out and said, hey, Keon Coleman sucks. That was not a GM draft pick. That was a Sean McDermott draft pick. And then they can promote Joe Brady, who had a big say in who they drafted. So if I'm Keon Coleman, I'm requesting a trade out. I want to get into a new situation where I actually feel wanted, because I don't want him to stay where he's unwanted. He has struggled to become an outside threat, but 38 receptions, 404 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's not an awful season, especially when, the expectations, the work ethic, some on the field and off the field issues of Keon Coleman. I bet a lot of it is that he knows that the GM and owner just don't like him and that they were trying to use him in certain ways that didn't really fit his play style. So I think in a new, fresh scenery is where he needs to go, get a fresh start where he's wanted. So I'm going to trade him to the Los Angeles Rams. The Buffalo Bills, they get 2026 5th-round pick, number 167 overall. And the Los Angeles Rams, they get Keon Coleman. It's not that Keon Coleman's a bad wide receiver. I just think, he's going into year 3. The Bills very honestly do not want him. I know all the trades are saying that Joe Brady wants to keep Keon Coleman. They expect him to have a breakout season. But I'm sorry. If I'm Keon Coleman, I'm saying screw you guys. I'm requesting a trade. You don't want me. I don't want to be here now. Get me out of here. And I think a team like the Los Angeles Rams, who want to build for the future with Matt Stafford, he's returning next season. I do think Devontae Adams will be there next year because Matt Stafford is returning. So yeah, Matt Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and I think Keon Coleman would make a really interesting Devontae Adams future replacement, because we've seen whether it was Cooper Kupp, whether it was oh my gosh, what's his name? Demarcus Robinson was what Devontae Adams, his role, that big body X receiver is what Demarcus Robinson played. I think Keon Coleman in the long term could play that for this offense. So I get him for a 5th round pick. It's a shot in the dark. I do think he'll have about a rebound year with them. 350 yards, a few touchdowns for the Rams. But the Bills, they get a 5th round pick. They move on from him. And Keon Coleman gets a fresh start with a team that genuinely I think would want him. So they save $1.7 million in cap space. Next, some restructures. Josh Allen, I'm going to restructure him. Obviously, franchise quarterback. He's not going anywhere. I will push this money back as far as I can every single season. Open up $12.5 million of cap space. Then Deion Dawkins, same exact thing as Josh Allen. That's our franchise left tackle until he retires. So we're going to restructure him, save $11.3 million, and open up $24 million additional in cap space of the two guys that, until they retire, will be a Buffalo Bill. So with re-signings and or extensions, now with all the cuts, the trades that we did, the restructures, we are at positive $38 million. So we opened up about $50 million in cap space with all those moves. In 2027, it went down a little bit, positive 31, and 2028, positive 138. So still good numbers to work with, because it's a few guys that I really want to, get in free agency and extend. So the big thing I want to do is extend one of our, franchise cornerstone pieces in Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver last year had 8 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 10 run stops, and 11 pressures. He did sustain multiple injuries that limited him last year. There was a torn, I believe, bicep tendon and also a foot injury. So two different parts of his body was just injured last year. It was a rough year for him. He only played 108 snaps and still produced like a lot of starters around the league at D tackle. So I do believe Ed Oliver, if he can come back healthy, is gonna go back to that top 7, top 8 D tackles conversation. He anchors the interior of the defensive line. He's a great run stopper, good pass rusher. I want to get him here long term. Now he is currently on a bigger deal, but I want to restructure that deal, push some money back, and open up more cap space this year. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn his 2-year, $50 million deal. Obviously, that 3rd year is a void year, so it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna turn his 2-year, $50 million deal with no guaranteed money left. Because again, in the NFL, all players care about is guaranteed money. So 2 years, no guaranteed money of $50 million. I'm going to turn it into a 4-year, $90.5 million deal, $53 million guaranteed at 59% guaranteed. So now from no guarantees to over $50 million in guarantees. And you basically, he does get a little bit of a pay raise. Obviously, that $25.5 million is a pay raise. The $24.5 is a pay raise. But he gets, the most important thing is that he gets more money, right? Because cap number means nothing, base salary means nothing. All players care about is guaranteed salary. So we're gonna give him a new 4-year deal, a $25 million signing bonus, guarantee 2 full years, and then partial that 3rd year. He's gonna get all that money, and I think the team, they can re-anchor the defensive tackle room around Ed Oliver, who is very good still. I believe he's only 28 years old, so still in his prime right now. Let's get him extended on a team-friendly number where he does kind of keep that same exact salary, but you need to do it right now, where he just had a down season because of injury. Say, hey, even though you were injured, we still believe in you. Let's give you a new 4-year, $90 million deal, $50 million guaranteed. I think that could really get him to sign that dotted line, and you get your guy on a cheaper deal than he would probably get in the open market for the long term. Then in free agency, now, that extension opened up another $9 or $12 million in cap space. So in 2026, you're at positive $45 million in cap space. In 2027, you're at positive 33. And in 2028, you're at positive 117. So a lot of money to make a couple of moves, but I don't think this team's gonna go crazy in cap space. I do think it would rather have their numbers roll over and build through the draft. So in free agency, we're gonna fill a couple of holes. First off, at left guard, I'm gonna sign Will Hernandez from the Arizona Cardinals. Last year had a down year, 45 PFF grade, 47 run blocking, 47 pass blocking, 2 penalties and 2 sacks allowed. He's been a guard for a dual threat quarterback the last 4 years in Arizona. He has grown a lot since his New York Giants days, where I really didn't think he'd be in the league for long, but he really developed into a quality starting guard. Will look better next to Deion Dawkins at left guard. It's a 1-year filler to draft and develop a rookie behind him, so you don't have to bet any long-term money on him, but someone with a lot of starts under his belt that can start for Josh Allen, used to a dual threat quarterback in the extended play, so he's more mileage on his body, he's used to it. So you want to get him on a 1-year, $2 million deal to get him to start at left guard. Next, we got EJ Speed, the veteran linebacker. Last year, 37 tackles, 0 sacks, 24 run stops, and 7 pressures. He's been a great run defender the last 3 years. This is someone that in Indianapolis was anchored right next to Zaire Franklin as one of the better linebacker duos in the NFL. Goes to Houston Texans. Didn't really work out. Lots of playing experience for a very young room in Buffalo. He gets more snaps than currently in Houston, and I think the team doesn't need to replace Matt Milano ASAP. I let Matt Milano walk in free agency. He's 33 years old. I just don't think he's the answer anymore at linebacker. Grab EJ Speed. He's 4 years younger. Still in his prime right now. So I'm gonna get him on a 2-year, $12.5 million deal, $7.5 million guaranteed at 60% to immediately come in and start for us at linebacker as that run stopper. Next guy, I guess the last guy I really want to go in depth about is going to be Tutu Atwell at wide receiver. Last year, had 6 receptions, 192 yards, and 1 touchdown. In 2024, he showed he can handle more targets when Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua dealt with injuries the entire season. Tutu really showed up. 500 yards, over 60 receptions. It's someone that I don't think he can be a starter for you, but I do think is a situational guy. He can get 4 to 5 targets a game as a deep threat, as that slot guy. So I do think there is a role for him in the NFL. And I think his playmaking ability with Josh Allen on the run would be very good. He averaged a depth of target of 20 yards this year. So his targets were very high. And it's never really turned the big plays. Be a deep threat for this wide receiver room. And I think he will be great for the scramble drills, like I said, of Josh Allen. When Josh Allen is, the pocket breaks down, is running around. Tutu, his speed, his agility, I do think would be a plus for this offense. So I'm going to give him a 2-year, $10 million deal, $5.5 million guaranteed at 55% guaranteed. So, in that 50 to 60% range, that wide receiver 4 role, he's cheaper than Curtis Samuel. And I think he'd play better than Keon Coleman because this role on this team isn't really defined. It's the guy on scramble drills can get open and is a deep threat. I just don't think there is a guy like that on this roster right now that can do it at the effective level that he will. Then some other signings. So at nickel corner, I'm gonna sign Kendall Vilder to be our backup nickel corner. This a long-term veteran guy who's been the backup at multiple teams, whether it's the Bears, or I believe the Vikings this past year. There's a backup nickel. If in case of injury, can play. Tevin Jenkins at right guard. I'm gonna have him back up Osiris Torrance. Osiris Torrance, he's been up and down as a starter. Tevin Jenkins is that, he played with the Chicago Bears, was with the Browns last year, struggled with the Browns last year. So he can come over to Buffalo, develop under a really good offensive line coach, and if he doesn't get a chance to start, can maybe compete for that left guard starting job for the future. Dan Feeney, backup center. Nothing to really talk about there. In Tampa was a backup. He's a backup here. Nick McLeod, I actually have as my starting nickel corner. Like I said, slot corner is a very cheap thing that you can get. And I think Nick McLeod has earned the ability to try and start and compete for that starting nickel job. So him, Kendall Vilder, and the rookie that I draft will probably all be battling out for it. But Kendall Vilder, I would want as that veteran guy who has always been the nickel. So in case of injury, and it was down to our second, third, fourth corner, we could trust Kendall Vilder. Then for Lorenzo Fatukasi, veteran D tackle from the Jacksonville Jaguars a few years ago. I believe this year was with the what team was he with? I can't remember what team he was with. But Fatukasi, good run stopper at D tackle for the role that I'm gonna ask him to play. 1 year, $2 million. Then Kyle Van Noy, the guy I'll always sign to be a veteran edge for these playoff teams. I do think he's gonna be leaving Baltimore under Jesse Minter. They run a different scheme. I think Kyle Van Noy is gonna walk, and I do think he has still gas in the tank. This is a guy that can get 3 to 6 sacks a year at age 35. So I want him in Buffalo. As that veteran guy in the edge room, you're going to lose Joey Bosa. You're going to lose AJ Epinesa. So I do think you need that veteran guy in the edge room, and Kyle Van Noy is going to be that guy for us. So, entering the draft, you got positive $30 million. Again, I want to keep as much cap space as possible. Let it roll over to 2027. And then in 2027, you have $50 or $60 million after the cap goes up and that rollover money. And that's going to be a good opportunity for this team to go and compete and, sign a lot of good players. So, in the NFL draft, here's how I decided to go with my picks. At round 1, number 26, I'm going to grab safety Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. He's a great strong safety. He fits that modern style of strong safety, power nickel that Kyle Hamilton, Nick Eamon-Warry, they play. That's why I want Emmanuel McNeil-Warren to play in the Buffalo Bills. He's 6'2", 202. He had 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions last year, 7 coverage stops, 11 run stops, 5 forced incompletions. This is someone that I really do think has a nose for the ball, and Toledo's done a great job developing secondary guys the last couple of years, so I think Emmanuel McNeil-Warren can be another one of those athletic freaks at safety. Then in round 2, number 60, I'm going to grab Malachi Lawrence, edge rusher from UCF. He's had a fantastic offseason, whether it was a Senior Bowl or the Combine. This is someone who has risen up draft boards. I remember in one of my first mock drafts, he was a 6th or a 7th round pick. He is now, in my opinion, a 3rd round pick, but I'm going to grab him in a second because this is a team that needs edge rushing help. Solid edge rotation piece. Small snap count, excelled at pass rushing, so his snap count to pass rush win rate was very good. 6'4", 250, wanted size at edge rusher. Last year had 30 pressures. I see him as a 4 to 6 sack guy a season, and if you can get that in the 2nd round, that's a home run hit. 20 sacks the last 3 years. Again, 4 to 6 sacks throughout his rookie season every year is something I'm willing to grab in the 2nd round as an edge rusher. Then in round 3, number 91, I'm going to take a shot at Billy Schroff from Notre Dame at left guard. Starting left guard at Notre Dame, allowed no sacks or hits this last year. He's 6'4", 310, true junior, so he's only going to be 20 or 21 years old once it's week 1. He's a solid all-around prospect. He did deal with injuries after week 8, so maybe, no sacks and no hits is kind of because he didn't play the entire season. But in the first 8 games, he did play really well. I want him as my backup left guard behind Will Hernandez. We'll develop him for a year. Then in 2027, we have our starting left guard, hopefully, in Billy Schroff. Then in round 4, number 126, I'm going to grab linebacker Keyshawn Elliott from Arizona State. He does everything on the defense. He's good at blitzing, good at run defending, good at coverage. He has a lot of snaps in his college career, so I do think he is ready for that next step in the NFL world. Took more of a run defender role this year, and he dominated with 26 run stops. So if he can just come in and be a run stopping machine on 1st and 2nd down, then you take him off the field for 3rd and 4th down, I'm cool with that. In the 4th round, a rotation linebacker is an absolute great value. Then in round 5, number 166, I'm going to grab wide receiver Ted Hurst from Georgia State. He had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons with 15 touchdowns total. He's 6'3", 195. He's great at contested catches with 16 last year, which was 19th overall in college football. He could develop into an X receiver, but at worst, it's more size in the room. It's a deep threat outside boundary receiver who succeeded in Georgia State. I'm willing to take that in the 5th round as an opportunity to try and bolster that edge room. Then in round 5, number 167, with that trade from Keon Coleman, I am going to grab Tyron Montgomery from John Carroll State. Tyron, he dominated at the Senior Bowl, absolutely showed out, demolished every single 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round corner that he went up against. He was the talk of the town, and I do think that's going to make him rise up draft boards. He wasn't invited to the NFL Combine for whatever reason, but doesn't matter. He had 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns last year. He showed great route running prowess both during the season and at the Combine and at the Senior Day. He's 6'1", 190, and I do think Joe Brady could utilize him pretty well. And I want to see at his pro day how many teams show up. Because I bet you probably 25 of 32 teams are going to be at John Carroll's pro day watching Tyron Montgomery. I promise you, it's going to be 25 or more. Then in round 7, number 220, I'm going to grab safety Lorenzo Styles Jr. from Ohio State. Lorenzo, obviously he's brothers of Sonny Styles, but I project him as a nickel corner in the long term. He has that speed to jump routes in zone coverage because, even if you're playing press man coverage on the boundaries, your slot corner usually stays in zone coverage because they're your 3rd or 4th linebacker in the middle of the field. So Lorenzo Styles Jr. has this speed, has a first step to try and jump routes in those, check downs, the out routes, the quick outs, quick slants. Lorenzo has the speed to catch up and jump those routes. Last year, had 7 coverage stops, 2 run stops with 22 tackles and 4 incompletions. I do think Lorenzo Styles Jr. has a chance to be either a really good special teamer with his speed or a really good starting nickel corner. So I'm going to give him a chance to compete with Nick McLeod and Kendall Vildor for that starting nickel job. Then around 7, number 228, I'm going to go quarterback Haynes King from Georgia Tech. I'm grabbing Haynes King for one simple reason: a check down option as a backup. I want a backup quarterback who's cheap, reliable for Josh Allen. So if Josh Allen does get hurt, something you can rely on for a base of what the offense is going to be. He won't put the ball in harm's way. He only had a 1.0% turnover worthy rate last year, which was 3rd in college football. So of all the plays that he made, only 1% were, hey, this could be a turnover. He had 678 screen yards, which was 4th in college football. This is a check down king, so I'm all for having him in the 7th round. He's not a deep ball guy. At best, could be a valuable backup in case of injury. At worst, a cheap roster guy for 4 years. So at worst, he makes the roster. At best, you have a potential very valuable backup quarterback if Josh Allen gets hurt, that he's going to be a check down option, run a simple offense, and run it efficiently and not put the ball in harm's way and cause you to lose the game. I want that in the 7th round. I think that's very valuable in the 7th round. So entering the 2026 season, this is the projected depth chart. At quarterback, you have Josh Allen and Haynes King. At running back, James Cook, Ty Johnson, Ray Davis. At tight end, Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, Jackson Hawes, and Kaliki Latu. So no changes really at starters for those positions, but wide receiver has massive turnover. At outside wide receiver, I'm going to give Terrell Shavers a chance to compete for that starting job, because I do think in moments he shined last year. At slot, Khalil Shakir, that's his job. And at right wide receiver, Josh Palmer, who signed last year to a big deal. Then backups, you have Tutu Atwell, Tyron Montgomery, and Ted Hurst. I do think all 6 guys would be getting snaps and targets. This would be a wide receiver by committee, right? So if it's to be a wide receiver by committee, let's get cheap, non-long-term deals, so cheap, short deals, and draft picks. So Tyron Montgomery, Ted Hurst, they're my shots in the dark at starting wide receivers. Khalil Shakir is a starter. Josh Palmer, Tutu Atwell, they're the 2 or 3 year deal guys that are going to be the veterans. Then Terrell Shavers is the question mark of he showed some moments last year. Can he step up and be a starter? Then the offensive line, we got Deion Dawkins, Will Hernandez, Cedric Van Pran Granger, Osiris Torrance, and Spencer Brown. So only 3 returning starters. Obviously, they lose David Edwards and Connor McGovern at left guard and center. I think they're both going to get big-time deals in free agency that we can't match. So I got to let them walk. Cedric Van Pran from Georgia is going to step up and start for us. We signed Willie Hernandez. Then at backup, Chase Lunt, who was drafted last year from UConn, who I was really a big fan of. Tylen Gabriel at right tackle with Billy Schrauth, Dan Feeney, and Tevin Jenkins as the backups. So only the tackles returning. All 4 tackles from last year are returning. I'm kind of cool with that. I think those are 2 young guys, 2 veterans. I'm fine with that. So offensively, it's a good offense. Is it a top offense? Josh Allen and James Cook alone are making a good offense. But at wide receiver with a mixture of Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid at tight end, I do like it. I thought about cutting Dawson Knox, but I decided to keep him, so I had another receiving option. Then on defense, at D-tackle, I have Ed Oliver, Deion Walker, TJ Sanders. The 3 starters return with Fodokasi, Fadarian Mathis, and Dwayne Carter as the backups. At edge, Michael Hoyt, Gregory Rousseau as your starters, with Javon Solomon from Troy, who I'm a big fan of. Landon Jackson, Malachi Lawrence, and Kyle Van Noy. I like this edge room. Michael Hoyt and Van Noy are obviously the veterans. Gregory Rousseau is a really good run stopper who has gotten better and better as a pass rusher every year. Javon Solomon from Troy is just a great depth guy next to Malachi Lawrence and Landon Jackson. I love this edge room. I think it has a mixture of speed, power, veteran, young guys, and high upside. Then at linebacker, we got Terrell Bernard and Dorian Williams with Keyshawn Elliott, EJ Speed, and Joe Anderson. So Dorian Williams, I'm giving the nod as a starter over EJ Speed because I do think they would rotate in and out with Terrell Bernard kind of anchoring that Mike linebacker position with EJ and Dorian being that will linebacker, that run stopper. I think it's a pretty solid linebacker room, has depth, has starters, has a lot of experience. Then at corner, yeah, Christian Benford, Max Harrison getting that full-time nod after his rookie season. With I think Nick McLeod will probably win out nickel position with Dane Jackson, Dorian Strong, Lorenzo Styles Jr., and Kendall Vilder as your backups. High rotation guys, lots of playing time between Dane Jackson and Christian Benford. Dorian Strong was a rookie last year with Max Harrison. I was a big fan of Dorian Strong. I forgot what college he was coming out, but I do remember I drafted him a lot in my offseason plans. Then the veterans, obviously, at the slot, can move all around. Then at safety, Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop, returning starters with Emmanuel McNeil Warren and Jordan Hancock. I like it. I'm a big fan of the safety room. Taylor Rapp is a solid safety. Cole Bishop was, I believe, a 2nd-round pick 2 years ago, and he's been pretty solid for them. Jordan Hancock was a rookie last year. He played well in limited snaps. And then Emmanuel McNeil Warren, that shot in the dark at a franchise strong safety for this defense. I like it. I don't think I like it as much as other teams. This team probably maxes out at like 11 or 12 wins. But if you guys enjoy, put a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below. How many wins does this roster get with the coaching staff that they've made, the offense and defense that I built? How many wins do you predict? So let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.